formally welcome everyone who's now joining us to the webinar Jam, the first webinar of LJMB.
The person who's delivering our learning session this afternoon is a best-selling author, a champion speaker, and he won awards in Toastmasters and a trainer and coach for career and professional development. He has published 12 books to date, including Your First Job, A Practical Guide to Success, Your Career Roadmap, How to Get the Job You Want and Love the One You Hate, and Soaring High, Your Flight Plan for Your Best Career Ever. With about 30 years of corporate experience in manufacturing and marketing, his day job is being the assistant vice president for a well-known beverage conglomerate. He runs two of its packaging factories. Last year, we have partnered with him to help develop and coach more professionals and leaders in the country. So, if you're looking for a coach who could surely help you boost your career, he's the best person to go to. Let's all welcome our speaker, Coach Nelson D. Coach?
Thank you very much, Eldrin, for that generous introduction. And allow me a few moments to share screen my deck. There you go. It's in presentation mode. And thank you, everyone, for sharing your lunch break with us so we can have more learning. Today, we're going to talk about self-confidence. And here's how it started. Last month, a freelancer came to me and said, Sir Nelson, I am frustrated. I'm not getting as many clients as I wanted to have. And why? Because I lack self-confidence when I talk to clients and even giving my module. What if I make a mistake? Because of that, I'm not giving out as many proposals as I wanted. Can you help me? Now, I'll tell you how the conversation went throughout as we go along, but three things stood out. One, chances are when people are enrolling in a workshop for public speaking, they're after self-confidence. Two, self-confidence is like trusting yourself more. If you believe in yourself more, you trust yourself more, you'll take more initiative, maybe even more daring. Perhaps also, when that opportunity comes along, you'll embrace it because you'll never know. It'll be the career breakthrough you're looking for. But last but not least, here is the key takeaway for today. Self-confidence is a byproduct. It's difficult to summon or master self-confidence per se. Have you tried it? I must be more self-confident. I must be more self-confident. Doesn't work that way, right? Rather, experience shows that to be more self-confident, you grow indirectly through several ingredients. And today, we're going to explore those three ingredients. Let me first do a little play by which let's pretend that we are talking about person X. You have a problem, you need a consultant, a trainer, somebody who's the SME, and I bring you person X. What will make you confident about Mr. X so that you'll trust him, you'll hire him, and you will be confident about him. There are at least three ingredients. The first one is perception. I believe that X has a good moral character. I believe he's honest. He has my best interest at heart. He will not betray me. In other words, I believe that Mr. X is safe. But it's not enough because I may like Mr. X, but what if he is not competent? So now I have my second ingredient to be confident about Mr. X. It's prowess. I can see that Mr. X is very competent. He has the skill, he has the qualifications, he has the track record of getting things done the way I want it. But here comes one more thing. Have you noticed that the way we decide is not basically all rational? Think about it this way. Have you ever thought, I watched this movie because the movie reviews are fantastic? Or I'm reading this book, I'm using this shampoo because my friend told me about it. It's a great book, it's a great shampoo. And that's why the third ingredient is this one. It is praise. I hear that Mr. X is well commended. Other people who work with him had only good things to say about him. In other words, that's why we have testimonials or endorsements. Bring them all together, we have what we call social proof. I believe, my perception, Mr. X is a good person. Two, I can see that he can do the job. He has the skills. And number three is that I trust him also because my friends also put in a good word for him. Now, let's flip it. Do those three ingredients apply for you? And that's where now we have the ingredients of developing your self-confidence. First, perception. What you believe about yourself or your situation. Two, your own prowess. What you've been proven to be good at. Third, praise. What positive things people say about you. Let's unpack this one by one. Let's first talk about perception. What you believe about yourself and your situation affects your self-confidence. Now, here is what we have first. You may want to reflect what will be your self-limiting beliefs. We talk about the person, yourself, and your situation. Many of you may be thinking like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not mature enough. I'm just a junior guy. Or when you look at the situation, no, my boss will just shoot me down. And because this is love month, maybe we can think about this girl that I have my eye upon, she's out of my league. But notice if these are your perceptions, all the more your self-confidence will sink. And that's why now we have to challenge those self-limiting beliefs. Let me go back to our freelancer friend. Remember, he said that I don't believe I'm good in public speaking. What if I make a mistake? So his self-limiting beliefs will be several things. One, I'm not a good speaker. Number two, what if I make a mistake? And three, what if the audience doesn't like me because of those mistakes? And so in the conversation, we went to several things and I gave him one key question. What is true about your belief? Are these necessarily true that you're not a good speaker? That your audience will not like you if you make a mistake? And that's where the freelancer had this aha moment. You know, I never knew why I held such perceptions about myself because I can pull out a survey form or an evaluation form and people tell me that my modules are fun and they have a lot of learning. And when that happened, his perception shifted from negative to positive, from a loss frame to a gain frame. And because of that, he was more confident now in approaching people, making proposals, and getting more business. So what will happen if you have this perception problem and therefore a self-confidence problem? Here are some of the techniques that you may want to apply on yourself. First is to reflect and ask, what is the belief that is holding you back? Why are you not taking more risks? Why are you hesitant to get the new opportunity? What is going to hold you back from making that presentation and therefore be visible to management? Another one is, what needs to be challenged about the belief? Are those ingredients that you believe in necessarily true? What's the evidence? Or better, What's the counter evidence? Like, for example, my friend, he had evidence that he was well accepted after all. And so therefore, his perception about himself being a poor speaker was shattered, and his self-confidence soared like a rocket. And if you're going to challenge that self-limiting belief, you flip it. What does the opposite of that belief look like? And then what needs to be shifted in your thinking? I am a good speaker after all. And here comes the thing, because when we ask him, what is your perception about the audience? Initially, my freelancer friend said, I believe my audience are a bunch of critical people. They're just waiting for me to fall flat on my face. But then when you think about it, and when I saw the evaluation forms, hey, the audience love me. They want me to succeed. In other words, the audience is my friend. That shift in that thinking boosted his self-confidence. And how would celebrate that shift? Now I'm happier, now I'm more energetic, and I'm now more aggressive in sending out proposals here and there. And this is the way I would show up into the future. Do you see the technique? First, identify the perceptions you have that may or may not block your self-confidence. Then challenge it. If it's not true, flip it and accept the opposite. And celebrate, because you just had this aha moment. You are transformed for the better. Let's look at the second one. That is my muscle here. No, maybe not. Okay, maybe that's not my muscle over here. Okay, you can see the contrast. Boy, I wish I have that kind of bicep stuff. Give me 20 years in the gym, maybe I'll get there. So the second ingredient is prowess, your skill, your talent, your gifts. And here's the principle. Competence leads to confidence. Let me repeat. The more competent you are, the more you're good at something, the more you'll be confident, you'll trust yourself more. And here comes the usual thing. We have perception, good character. With competence, you have the ability, the skill. They go together. Character and competence go together. And here comes the thing. Whenever we talk about, say, public speaking, when I give workshops, and I will ask them, what will develop self-confidence in you as a speaker? 9 out of 10, they'll say practice. Practice, practice, practice. And they think the more I practice, the better I'll be, the more self-confident I'll be. Yes and no. The reason is this. It is not to say that I need to practice more so that I can build up my self-confidence. It is evaluated practice that makes prowess. Because if I keep on practicing the wrong thing, then all the more it'll be like a bad habit that'll be hard to take out later. But if I practice and have a person, a coach, a mentor, a model to teach me how it's done, how well it's done, then you'll be able to get better. Your prowess will shoot up, and all the more your self-confidence will also shoot up. And that's where whenever we give a workshop, whether it's leadership skills, communication, other things, critical thinking, we have to give evaluation. We have to give feedback, feedback, feedback. That's how we can get better. And the better we become, the more we trust ourselves. Now, last but not least, we go to praise. And here's the thing. Have you ever had that feeling wherein you did something and you did something well? And people come to you and say, wow, that's a great job. High five, pat in the back, attaboy. How do you feel? You feel like you're on top of the world, right? And so here's the principle. The more affirmation you get, the more confident you'll be. And here is the strategy. Be so good. That's why you need prowess. Be so good that people will voluntarily validate your prowess. And the more people say good things about you, the more self-confident you'll get. Because you have the evidence. Just like this freelancer friend. He has this evaluation form shows that, hey, we love your module. It's fun. There's a lot of learning. In the same way, if you made the presentation, you gave this report, or you made this big sale, and your boss, your peer will say, wow, fantastic job. What will happen to you? I feel so terrible, so terrific, so wonderful. And all the more, you'll be up to the next challenge. And so watch your social circles. You'll minimize time with negative people. those who want to pull you down, those who sap your energy, and the other one is that you hang around with positive people. That does not mean that they will not give you feedback, especially if the truth hurts. Rather, the positive people are the ones who are rooting for you, they believe in you, and they celebrate when you succeed. Now, what if nobody affirms you? What if you're in this toxic environment? You have this kind of difficult boss who will tell you always what you did wrong, but never teach you what you did right. Well, here's my principle. If you cannot minimize the situation, if you cannot leave that place, then the trick is this: water your own garden. You're responsible for your own self-esteem. You also believe in yourself. Why? You have the perception about yourself. You change your perception about your situation from negative to positive, and you now have the prowess. It's also proven. And therefore, the strategy is make small wins and celebrate. If there's a task that you find yourself, it's overwhelming, it seems that you cannot make it happen, then chop it down into little bite-sized tasks. And whenever you succeed in those small wins, that's a booster, even though it's one small thing at a time. And you celebrate. The more you win, the more you're more confident. And so let's recap. We have how to grow self-confidence. There are three things. One, perception, how you perceive yourself and or your situation. Number two, your prowess. The better you are through evaluated practice, the more self-confident you'll become. And the more praise you gather, the more people tell you what a wonderful job, what a wonderful person you are, all the more you'll trust yourself more. Now, let's see what happened to that freelancer guy. Here is an actual snapshot of his communication to me. And the guy said, okay, thank you, dear participants. He's talking to these participants. And then he has a shout out on me. Look at the other paragraph. Special mention and thanks to Nelson D, who mentored and coached me a few days ago. And this is the result of your effort in helping me. He got a perfect score for this module he's giving: productive, work attitude, and leadership. And it's only a 30-minute conversation. And this is what happens when you have a good conversation to build a person up in terms of his perception, in terms of his prowess, in terms of his praise. When you do that upon yourself, the sky's the limit. I have a breaking news for you. I have just opened a YouTube channel. And if you're interested in all my other LJMB talks, it is there. They're also in the LJMB YouTube channel. Here, I put and gathered in all in one position. So then go to my YouTube channel. It's at Nelson TD. And please like and subscribe. And please comment and also tell your friends about it. We're building up subscribers. We're aiming for 1,000. The beauty of this is that if you want to learn more about my talks, not just this one, but the previous 8, they're all here. There are also some other messages I have that I've given to give inspiration to those who want to listen to them. And of course, let's continue the conversation. Contact me, follow me through this LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter. Any other things, you can also talk to me through my email, nelsontd.com@gmail.com. Feel free also to suggest topics you want us to tackle in the months to come. And of course, I have a website for more resources, especially in my blog, which I regularly update. So here's my gift to you. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience, and I do hope that you have learned several things to make you more confident next time. Back to you, Eldrin, and we can open the floor for Q&A.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Nelson, for giving us a wonderful session. I'd like to share my key takeaways from this session. We need to apply the 3 P's that Sir Nelson discussed, and that perception, the prowess, and praise, so that people will voluntarily validate our prowess, and also small wins. Small wins, it matters to the most of us, for every people, so we need to celebrate it. Now, let's proceed to the Q&A session. So you may type your questions in our chat box, or please unmute so we can have an interactive Q&A session. So let's wait for the others to type your questions in our chat box if you have questions or unmute. Okay. Let's wait for them. Okay. I think there's none. Or if you are shy, you can unmute na lang if you don't have to chat anymore sa chat box. Anyone? I think this is very clear, Sir Nelson.
There's another one. There's a question now in the chat box. It's from Tin. How can you be confident if someone had destroyed your integrity? Okay, you know, Tin, I have to also think whether I got your question right, no? When I say destroy your integrity, I mean somebody has maligned you. You are basically a person with integrity, and you kept your integrity. Is that how it is? Okay. Yes. Okay. So I don't want to make it appear that, let's say, you did something wrong and compromised integrity. I like to believe, and I'm sure you're a person who stuck by your principles, but somebody maligned you. And here comes my biggest tip, the one top of mind. The best revenge is to prove the critics wrong. Okay. This is my best advice. If somebody maligned your integrity, the best revenge is to keep your integrity, keep doing the right thing. Eventually, the truth will come out. You will be vindicated. And the guy who destroyed your integrity will be proven to be crab mentality, liars, jealous, I don't know. And they will bow their heads in shame. And you'll be the one set up as a hero. I know it sounds perhaps too idealistic, but that's my experience. Remind me to tell this story next time. But what I believe is this: there is a moral law in the universe that says good will eventually win. And therefore, my encouragement to you, Tin, is this: when people have maligned you, you may want to not engage them because otherwise it'll be like a war. What you may want to do is this: ignore your bashers, keep doing the right thing, keep shining. And as you develop your self-confidence, but more importantly, develop your prowess and more praise, all the more your self-confidence will take care of itself. Does that help, Tin? Thank you, Tin. Okay, I'm glad it helped. Is there any other question, Eldrin? I did not see the chat box. I think they're new. Yeah.
Yes, Coach, we have here from Matthew Villaflor. Hi, Nelson. I would like to ask firstly, I'm a strong believer per prowess, but praise is something that does not come as often, or at least for me. Is this a matter of patience?
Okay. So you're good at what you do. And when you say, can you repeat that second line, the middle part? Praise does not come automatic for me. Okay.
Does not come as often. Yeah.
Okay. So people do not regularly give you that kind of feedback. And therefore, is it a matter of patience? At the end, yes, because I don't believe in forcing praise. Otherwise, the people you want them to commend you will feel like it's, maybe forced, and maybe you may doubt their authenticity. Better voluntary and spontaneous praise. You may also want to do this little trick. You're asking it, but in the sense of a informal feedback. Boss or Weber, I did this. How do you think I'm doing? Is there anything I can improve upon? Then maybe if the guy is well balanced, he can, well, I like the way you did this. You did a great job, actually. And then they may want to give you 1 or 2 improvement points. So that's one. The other one, of course, will be like you set things up in your next performance review. For example, here's the trick. If you're going to be, let's say, meeting your boss for a salary adjustment, performance review, whatever it is, remember, you have to put on your accomplishment record on paper. It is deliberate, not because you're arrogant or bragging, but because it's true. Then the boss should be able to read this. I'm so glad to see this. You're right. You did increase sales by this much. You have reduced costs by that much. It's praise for you. Last but not least, if the praise is not yet coming in, be patient, because if, let's say, it is the stage where you're developing your prowess, you're building up your track record, you're establishing your reputation, the praise will come. And therefore, I'll rather be patient and trust God to eventually open the doors for me. And people, and we pray that God will open the eyes of those people who see the great points about you and commend you, and even, hopefully, reward you. Does that also answer your question? Please give me a thumbs up, because I like to check whether my questions are helpful. Yes, it helps a lot. Thank you. You're very much welcome, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew. So next, Sir Nelson, we have here Gladys Apalit. I noticed that some people have not much credential but are overconfident. Where can their confidence be coming from? For example, feeling guapo.
Okay. That's also my wife. Can you repeat the last part? Where this confidence grown? Or what's the last part again?
Where can their confidence be coming from? For example, feeling guapo.
Feeling guapo. Well, okay. Actually, okay, if I understand the question is, if objectively speaking, I don't have that qualification, but I'm so confident myself, where is the confidence coming from? Well, okay. In the first place, that's great, because I'd rather have somebody who believes himself, even though it's a bit too much, rather than somebody who thinks himself is garbage. I'd rather have the first one. The confidence coming from, I believe it's coming from, again, perception, okay? Because the question implies like this. If I look at you, you're not that guapo, but your perception of yourself is you're super guapo. That explains the self-confidence. Remember, perception breeds self-confidence. Now, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It depends. Because it is good to believe in yourself. Where you cross the line is this. If you are so arrogant, you become so guapo that you think that you're God's gift to women, you become so obnoxious, that's already where the self-confidence will become destructive. I would think that in that case, that you are feeling super guapo, then live up to it, because my experience shows like this. There are people whom you think they're not good to look at, but there's this inner beauty that comes because they believe in themselves, they believe they're guapo, they carry themselves well, and all the more, they're like a magnet for people to work with, maybe even a chick magnet. And because of that, that perception can be good. Just don't go into the arrogant part. Does that help?
Sweet for Gladys.
Okay, thank you, Gladys. I'm so glad about that.
Thank you so
And
much, Gladys.
by the way, guwapo is not enough. Dapat mabait din. Okay? Inside
Yes.
also. Dapat mabait din.
Definitely, Sir Nelson. Okay. He has another question. How can you recover immediately if you have done an embarrassing mistake?
Okay. There are several things. I have my own share of mistakes. In fact, I can probably look at this video and say, okay, I almost missed this one. I almost used the word terrible than terrific. So I also am aware of my mistakes or near mistake. And one of the things that is helpful for me is self-acceptance. By the way, self-confidence can also be a close cousin to self-acceptance, that yes, I don't know everything. I'm not good at this. I'm not perfect, but I am learning and I am getting there. So now, if you say you have an embarrassing mistake, it will not shatter my self-confidence because I know my worth independent of my performance, because I'm still a child of God. I'm made an image of God. I'm still somebody. I have inherent worth, and my mistakes do not define me. Now, given that as your starting point, remember, perception, my mistakes do not define me. And therefore, that makes me humble. That makes me now learn from the mistakes. I have an embarrassing mistake. I did something wrong. I said something wrong. Okay, fine. I did that. I accept it. It's done. But then I learn from that mistake. I build up my character to be more humble, to be probably more careful in my speech, to be more discreet, for example, to be more diplomatic, or to be wiser in the way I allocate my time or my priorities or the plan. And therefore, the embarrassing mistakes rather than giving you regret or pulling yourself down, can be actually a building block to become better. Prowess, remember? And therefore, self-confidence. Last thing is like this. Think of it this way. It is one step backward, but two steps forward. And ultimately, the mistake can be redeemed. Will that be helpful for you? Give me a thumbs up or a yes in your chat box.
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay,
Gladys. I'm so glad to have
Gladys.
helped. And feel
Okay,
free to ask other questions and comment. Okay, go on. Go on, Eldrin.
we have a question here again from Claire Sunico. When I conduct activities like training for our company, I see many judgmental facial expression or reaction that make me question myself what I did wrong, although I receive affirmation from my manager that I did well. How can I strengthen my confidence against this kind of negative reactions during the session?
Okay, so I think the focal point of that question is I see critical faces. Okay, and yeah, I will not deny the impact. And here is my tip for you. Again, I have that all the time. Here's my tip. When you see the critical faces, don't take it personally. It's data. It's data about your performance, but not data about you. Okay, so body language is important. When I give a public talk, I gauge my audience in terms of my how they smile, do they establish eye contact, do they do like this, do they frown, or do they say yes like this? That is data. And because of that, I use the data not to say I'm a bad person or good person, but to see how can I make my performance better. And the goal is like this. You separate the personal impact from your performance, okay? You are dissociating yourself from the messages that cause you negative emotion. Think of it like this. The next time you see critical expression in their faces, don't take it personally. It's not saying you're a bad person. It's a message that, okay, your performance has to be tweaked somewhere here. Study that, and hopefully the critical faces will be replaced with smiling faces. It's a good indication. And by the way, then you thank the people who give you affirmation because that's your ego boost. Does that help?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're very welcome, Claire. And hello, a shout out to Alf Mendoza. I see your name there. And hello, Helen Bartholomew. It's a pleasure to see you here.
Okay. We have a lot of reaction here in our meeting chat room, but you can have a discovery call with Coach Nelson regarding what questions do you have here in our about the session. So thank you again to our participants who participate from our Q&A session. So if you want to continue the conversation with Coach Nelson D, you may book your free discovery call with him through our screen, the QR code that we have provided, or our scanning QR code on the screen, or going to calendly.com/LJMB/Nelson D, or calling or texting us at 0917-822-5562.